All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking at a private, behind the scenes, behind the curtains, exclusive look at a training that I did with some of my paid clients. Now, you're going to really enjoy this, whether or not you're a beginner or you're somewhat experienced in the high ticket sales industry, because what we cover is, again, advice and suggestions I give to my private clients around how you should view networking, the philosophy around it, general application skills that are actually going to help you with networking in the high ticket sales space. How do you add value as a complete beginner, or even if you've been in the space for a while now? We're going to be covering a lot of stuff around networking, which I haven't really talked about publicly before. So I think you guys will really enjoy this one. Okay. So I'm going to post the training here. Hopefully you enjoy it. And yeah, salespeople. But you get the idea, and you can find these people, you can connect with them, and you're not going to be asking for a job. This is where most people go wrong with networking. They go, oh, I'm going to connect with the person. I'm going to go, are you hiring? Can you hire me? Give me a job, right? This is where everybody fucks it up, right? They always just go, can you give me a job? What you're looking for is information, contacts, and help. Because, guys, if we know this, by the way, let me just whip up the whiteboard. I know it's going to be important for all of you on the training here. If we know that companies hire 75 to 95%, right? This is where they hire. They trust it from a trusted connection. 75% was like in general, like general companies. The higher companies, like the most desirable, was 95%, right? The top tier companies, 95% of them hired through a trusted connection. That's a very high percentage. That's a lot, right? Most people overcomplicate the process of getting a referral to work with a company. Like I'm talking 95% of people really just fuck this up for no reason, right? It's really straightforward. And this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, which is complexity bias. Some people will come and work with me one-on-one and they go, oh, Connor, networking is not working. Connor, networking, I've tried networking, doesn't work. Connor, I spoke to this guy once and he just told me to fuck off, right? Maybe consider that you did it incorrectly, right? There is a process, and if you follow it, you're going to be successful. And so if we know that, yeah, again, 75 to 95% of companies hire through trusted connection, we're going to optimize for what? Referrals. Where do most newcomers, new timers, beginners, people who are green to the space focus their time? Job posts, Facebook groups, right? Applications, resumes, CVs, cold messaging. This is where they focus all their time. But if you're going to get 80% of the result from this, why not just focus your time on doing this, right? One connection, one referral, one relationship, you are one conversation away, one connection away from a six-figure opportunity. That is how close all of you are. I am not trying to sell this to you. I have no buy, but that is how close you are to a six-figure opportunity. One connection, one relationship, one referral. That's all it takes. Now, one thing that you have to understand with referrals, guys, this is really important. Referrals is the bridge of trust. Someone has to trust you that you are going to perform if you're referred to another account, right? And how do we build this trust? If the person doesn't know you in the first place, what we're doing is we're building that trust through a personal brand, right? This is what we're focusing on. If you have a profile and you look like you've just rolled out of high school, you're drinking with your friends, you're doing drugs, you're partying, you have no content that establishes your authority, they have no idea who you are, they don't know your goals, they don't know what you want, what you intend to do, then how could you expect that person to trust you? Ever, right? I know I wouldn't. I wouldn't trust anybody who doesn't look presentable online because they don't build that trust with me. Is everybody with me so far?
Yeah.
Right? So referrals, again, to get referrals, we need to build trust, and we have that through a personal brand. Now, what is a personal brand, right? Personal brand in the high ticket sales circumstance is literally just documentation. That's what you're doing, right? Most people think, well, I am a beginner. I am new to sales. I can't start coaching on sales and doing this, whatever. I don't expect you to. In fact, you shouldn't, because you're going to get roasted. What you do when you set the intention for your personal brand is you just document.
Lucas.
You you create. Right? I'm just going to mute Jordan there. Um, you document, right? You create. This is what we're doing here with your personal brand. And you want to think less of explanation versus documentation, right? This is the really key thing here, right? And so once you've built your personal brand, you can then, after you build a relationship with someone, you add value, you can then merit a referral, right? Most people just go in with networking and say, can I have a job? Right? Doesn't work that way. Most people in networking, again, want a binary yes and no, black and white. Do I get the job or not? Right? This is where most people are thinking and focused on. You need to switch from how can I get the job as quick as possible to how can I add value to as many people as I can, right? Because this, in essence, is what a network actually is. Your network is defined by two things: the quality of people that you know, so the depth and the frequency, right? That is your network defined. And so the larger you can grow your network, right? The more people you know, the more valuable people that you know, you're going to be smack bang in the middle at some point. So making sense to everyone, right? So your aim is to, again, build value with as many people as you can because you are going to get referrals. And again, it's not this instantaneous flash in the pan. Whoa, like I just messaged one person, then I got, Wolf from Wall Street, bowling room sales and making millions of dollars, right? That's not how it works. You have to put in time with this strategy. You have to put in effort. And the reason why most people don't do it is because it takes time, it takes effort, right? It takes energy, right? Even though I tell people this is the most effective strategy, it's the fastest way to get jobs, people still don't do it. They'll come to these calls, they'll listen here, they'll sit here and they'll just go, oh, that sounds really cool. And then nobody does it, right? Nobody takes taking action on it, right? What I'm telling you guys is very simple. It's exactly what I tell my one-on-one clients, right? Focus on referrals, build a personal brand, create your outreach strategy, reach out to the right people, build a list of companies, and start networking, start building relationships. Now, one big thing I want to emphasize here as well, your networking isn't going to your network isn't going to sub in for your lack of sales skill. And where a lot of people struggle with networking by far and beyond is they try to reach way too high when they're already here, right? Making more money is like lifting more weights. If you guys are going out there and telling people you want to make 10K a month as a high tier closer, you'll get told to get fucked. Long story short, that's how it's going to work, right? People are not going to want to help someone who doesn't want to give to get. This is how it works, right? And so we need to build up to that. We need to eventually build up to that. We can have that, but it's going to take a bit of time. If you're just starting out, you're a beginner, you don't have the skill level who's competent to earn 10K a month, you cannot ask for that and you cannot aim for that because you're going to really struggle to get it, right? Is that making sense to everyone? Right? If you're shooting really high in comparison to where you are now, you're going to struggle to get it and you're going to self-sabotage, right? This is really important. But more importantly, people aren't going to want to help you, right? The sooner that you realize with networking that people have their own selfish interests at heart, the better it will serve you. We as people, we as humans, we all have our own quality of life at front of mind. We have our own goals at front of mind. So if we know this, what we can do is we can then again try and find out someone's goals and their problems and their challenges and provide value. Because again, this flows into your network over here, right? Now, the question might be, Connor, I'm a beginner. I'm 18, I'm 19, I'm 20, I'm young. I don't have much experience. How do I then add value to people when I am not inherently valuable? I don't have enough experience yet, right? You don't have to provide value yourself, is the key thing, right? Referrals, the art of getting referrals is by giving referrals. And that can be through many different shapes and forms. That could be, say, let's say you start asking questions to somebody about, let's say you start asking questions to somebody about what they're most focused on at the current time. So, hey, like, I'm curious, like, where are you spending most of your energy and your time right now? And they might say, well, I'm actually working up for a boxing fight right now. Or it could be this, or it could be that. It could be a plethora of things. Maybe they could be traveling to Colombia and you have a friend in Colombia, or Colombia, whatever it is, right? There's so many different ways that you can help people. Most people are very binary thinking of, I do not have experience. I am not making $1 million, so therefore I cannot add value, right? You find the opportunities to add value to somebody, right? Making sense to everybody? Great.
Mm.
So to again give value, we need to find out how we can give value. So we ask questions like, hey, what are you focused on right now? Where are you spending most of your time? Where are you spending most of your energy? Oh, well, I'm trying to work on learn on this. Let's say it's objection handling and you have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to objection handling. Oh, hey, I found this resource, this YouTube video I think would be helpful. Great, right? It's not massive, but it makes a difference, right? If you're again reaching out to people expecting to get jobs and you're like, oh, well, Connor, nobody's giving me jobs. Well, no wonder, right? Not adding any value, not being a valuable person. You're expecting to get without giving. And in networking, there's three people. There is givers, there is matchers, and there is takers, right? This is really, really important. And I really, really want you to pay attention to this one because let me just write this out, not focus on two things at once. Givers, matchers, and takers, right? Three people in this world and networking specifically. This core concept has allowed me from going from working in retail, $30 an hour, to now living on the other side of the world in Dubai, having some of my close friends be multi millionaires at 23, right? This core concept is exactly how I've done it. And I've done it for a long time, but I realized more recently there's a bit of a system to this, and someone's already made up this idea themselves. So I didn't invent this concept. But essentially, takers are what? People who take. Give me this, 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 right? These people are not successful, right? They are never successful, especially with networking and their connections, right? Ever, ever, ever successful. Then you have matches, right? Matches are, hey, let me give you something and I'll get something in return, right? These guys are nowhere as successful as the middle one here, right? Right? You want to always, again, aim for this middle one here, which is being a giver. A giver is when you give without expectation of return, right? I can count so many occasions and times where I've given to a millionaire, a multi-millionaire, right? Someone who's extremely successful without expecting return. I'll give you an example of how I've done that recently. There is a gentleman who's not a close friend of mine, but he's someone in my network. And he's done $30 million online US in the last 10 years, something like that, maybe less. And he asked, hey, Connor, I am looking for some sales reps. Do you know anybody? Right? Could I charge him for that? 100%. Did I? No. Right? I placed him with two exceptional sales reps in my network, in my one-on-one mentorship community, and they're both crushing it. Right? How much goodwill and equity do you think that gives with a person who's literally done $30 million online? A lot. Did I ask for anything? No. Did I ask for testimonial? No. Did I ask for money? No. Right? I gave without expectation. And the sooner you guys adopt this mindset holistically, not just for networking, but everything in life, you will get more than you could have ever possibly dreamed of. I genuinely do mean that. If you give value, you will get value. I think Tony Robbins said it a long time ago, and this has stuck with me for a very long time. Whereas everything that you give will eventually come back in some way, shape, or form, right? And it's true because it will. And you don't know exactly what it might be. It could be in a job, it could be in what seems to be luck, it could be what seems to be a coincidence. But when you give without expectation and you give to people without expecting, trust me, it'll come back tenfold. So you never have to worry about it, right? Ever, 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 ever. Networking, it's a big thing, but generally and holistically in life, if you can think this way, this is how millionaires think. This is how multimillionaires think. This is how very rich and successful people think. Are we clear on all that? Making sense?
Yeah.
Haven't bored you to death yet? Great.
No, not yet.
Okay, great.
Well, good man. Good stuff. Really good stuff.
All right. So let me wet my whistle and we'll keep going. Right. So let's keep running it. So referrals, right? Let's come back to that topic. So again, we know that you need to have a personal brand. You need to focus on how you look online. Are you presentable, right? This is really important. We've gone over documentation. Let's go about how to actually get referrals. So again, referrals, what are referrals? Referrals are literally, again, like I mentioned before, a transformation of trust. So you guys have all had a referral one way or another throughout your life. Hey, I want to get jacked. Well, I know who can get you jacked. This guy here, he helped me get jacked, right? Same thing here. Hey, I need a painter. Well, I know Bob, he's really good. Great, no worries, right? And this is, again, if you want to look at the principle of that, how easy and ready are you to trust somebody when they've been referred to you through someone else? It's really high, right? Your resistance is really low. This is why the best resource for clients, for my business, for all businesses across the board, and new hires is referrals because you can trust. I want to explain this to you for you guys to really understand this quite deeply. With referrals, the alternative for businesses to hire people is through job posts. And what does that give us, right? Job post is literally the equivalent to trusting your business, right? A business owner's business, a founder's business, their be their child with some random stranger, right? Some random person that's going to represent their business, going to work in their business, all these other type of things, right? This is what a business does when they go make a job post, LinkedIn, whatever, Facebook groups, whatever. They would prefer not to. And that's why we saw these stats represented earlier, right? 75 to 95%. The top companies, it's 95%, right? That's a very high statistic. When we understand this, again, we know how valuable referrals are as a resource. Most people overcomplicate it as, well, they need to do this, they need to do that. A referral is literally as simple as being introduced to the other person. That's it. That's all you need. That's your foot in the door, right? That is your high leverage play because that literally counts. If you're introduced through another person, you are gaining that trust, right? That's what you're doing here, right? You are gaining that trust through, again, a separate party. That's what we're doing, right? And so all we need is an introduction into a group chat. That's it. All we need. And that literally is that's the magic. Because again, that person immediately trusts you because their name is backed by your name or other way around, right? So a group chat is literally all that we need. A little introduction to the person hiring. Or you can also do it indirectly, right? Where what you can do is, let's say the person isn't willing or open or forgets to introduce you to the person, but you have the name that you need to be introduced to that's hiring. Who you most, or I mean, actually, how much more likely do you think you'd be in getting an interview if you were to go to just through a job post, you're thrown into amongst of hundreds of clones that are all the same people, they're all resumes, it's all about how you look on paper, versus even if you didn't get introduced in a group chat, right? Even if you didn't get introduced in a group chat, you get an indirect referral, which is, hey, I was speaking to Patrick a little bit earlier, the closer on your team at the moment. He said that you guys had some openings available and he mentioned that I should send you a message. Is this the right place to contact you about that? What's that do? Right? Leverage what? Somebody else's name. And what does somebody else's name get us? Trust. Trust, referral, right? It all leads back to the same thing. The amount of success or the high chance that you get not the job, but you get an interview is significantly higher if you do this, right? Am I making sense on that? Do you guys get what I'm saying there? Right? So, group chat, indirect referrals are literally the most valuable resource, the currency that you have in this process, right? Again, I generally do not want to say this lightly. Guys, it took me 8 months to get my first job in this space. 8 months. That's a really long time. Really long time. I have seen people implement this and I have seen them do it in record breaking times. If you actually follow what I say, right, you're working with me one on one, you got all the source, you know everything that you need to know. There is the average I see people who actually implement this strategy correctly with the right effort and they do the right things is 3 to 4 weeks, right? On average, for a job search, it usually takes 5 to 7 months to get hired. Not in high ticket sales, but in every industry, right? It's the same thing, right? It takes sometimes 200, 300 hours plus on a job search to get a job, right? This is how you get hired now, right? In case you guys aren't aware, I'm going to answer your question here in a second, Antonio, but I just want to finish on this. Although the internet has made it more easier and accessible than ever to apply for jobs, it's made it equally easier. It's made it even more difficult to get hired through traditional methods. Just think about it. Not just high ticket sales, but any job economy, job applications, job posts, right? This stuff doesn't work anymore, right? Why do we see so many people graduating from university that struggle to land jobs? Right? We have people that go to university, study for years to not be able to find a job, right? How crazy is that? The reason why is they don't know how to get hired, right? It's experience. The same thing with high ticket sales space. It's not your lack of experience, it's your lack of job acquisition skills, right? Interviewing, screening, networking. These are the core three. If you're focusing on anything else, you're wasting your time, right? Those are the main things you want to focus on. Well, I want to preface by saying this as well. Once you once you get the role, right? That is when your sales skills become important, especially as a beginner, especially as a beginner. If you're a bit more experienced, well, of course, you need to have the skills to perform on the role. It's all important. Your mindset, your sales skills, all these things are important. But to get your first role in this space as a beginner, so you can make between 3 and 6K a month, right? As an appointment setter, develop your skills, you're going to be new anyway, right? The first time you have a sales call, an appointment setting call, you are going to flop no matter how much practice you do, no matter what anybody else tells you, right? Your training, especially in the beginning as a newbie in a setting position, is real life experience. It's not, what some guy says or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It is you being in the trenches. That is how you learn, right? The thing with sales is time takes time and you get better inevitably over time. One last thing I want to finish on that I think is really important before I answer Antonius's question. With networking and with sales, I want you guys to all very much understand this is what your success is going to look like, right? We have results here on the left axis. We have time. I like to talk about this graph often because it really helps a lot of people visualize this correctly. It's nothing for a while and it's all at once. This is exactly how it happens. Most people expect results at day one. Most people are comparing their 6th month to someone's 6 years, right? We see this happen with social media all the time. And especially with networking, what you see typically happens is people give up way too early, right? Because they're not seeing the crazy flashy results they want right away. You need to understand that with any process, any skill that you learn, it's going to take time for you to get good at it, right? This is just how it works. We all suck when we start something new, right? This is a fact, right? There's no getting around it. And so you need to understand with networking and sales, this is exactly how it works. It's nothing for a while and then it's all at once. Then you have exponential growth, right? Too many people quit early. Too many people go try something for a couple of weeks and they go, oh, I can't make the money I want. I'm out. They just, right? They're just soft. They just quit, right? They stop believing, right? This industry and this process as a whole, networking, completely changed my life. And if you actually pay attention to it, you actually implement it, it will completely change your life as well, right? If you take this seriously, you can make more money than you'd ever imagined. You can travel the world. You can do all these things. I've done this for the past couple of years, right? 4 years, 5 years now, right? Trust in what I say, do what I tell you to do, follow the process, and you will all be successful.